Bradley, how is this week going so far? How was training this week?
Yeah, good. I mean, energy is high, and one thing about this group, I can never fault for effort or application, right? So every time we come into training, it's really professional, and it's really honest with reflections, whether it's on the field or whether it's video feedback or individual meetings. It's really honest, right? And that's what I love about this group, but so far it's been good.
And this game against Sporting KC has been hyped up as a rivalry game. I know you have different opinions about that, but from your experience, can you talk about what you experienced with New York Red Bulls in the Hudson River,
The
in the
Hudson
Hudson
Derby?
River rivalry?
Yeah, listen, I mean, there's something always on the line, right? When two teams, whether it's communities, whether it's citizens, whether it's neighboring towns, whether it's, neighboring states, what have you, there's always something on the line. And knowing what it means to the people of St. Louis and knowing the history of St. Louis, I don't need to speak about this to my players. We've known this since day one, right? So we don't want to add extra hype or pressure or anything on our players. I think there's enough on our plate right now. So just for the next game is the most important. And the next most important game is this one coming up this weekend against Sporting KC. So that's what's in our control. Whatever else is not in our control, we cannot control. So we're not going to lose time and energy about it. But definitely deep down, in our hearts, we know what this means.
Go ahead, Matt.
Have you seen a different level of intensity from your team, having a full week of practice and going into this kind of a game?
No, I felt the last 2-3 weeks have been really right where we want to be, right? That's from the intensity levels, from taking it personal and really, trying to get back to a few of the things that we thought we got away from a little bit. And again, I can never fault this group for application. When we look at the loads of the GPS, we've got comparative data to the other teams against our direct opponents. And when we outwork them, outrun them, outpace them, I can never fault the intensity of our boys, right? So now there's few micro details within that. Can we be more efficient, smarter, in certain decision-making moments that should and could make a difference? But from the application, I cannot fault my group.
And tactically, so both teams are kind of trending in opposite directions at the moment. Kansas City's getting a little healthier. What do you see from them in their recent form that you're looking to maybe exploit?
Yeah, listen, we're getting a little healthier too, right? We're feeling quite comfortable with our group. We saw Klaus on the field today, which is a welcome sight and energizes the group. So we feel we're getting into a space now where we got spots open for competition. And listen, I mean, it's no surprise or it's no, we need to break down a team, right? And that's been our MO this week in terms of final third entries, final third success, and getting in behind and getting in underneath. So I mean, and you know what it's called? It's called a soccer match, right? So there's certain moments and phases within a 90-minute game. You're up high, you're up deep. We've created a lot of respect within the league to be relentless on the front foot. Will they try and mitigate that? Sure. Do we have a plan to counter that? Sure. So that's just the progression and the flow of a game. And a goal always helps, right? So if you get a goal early, now the game dictates, sets the tone in a different way. If you get caught chasing a game, then it's automatic. A team like Chicago, we just sit back and, we saw Man City, Real Madrid. We saw Real Madrid struggle to break down Man City, right? So that's just what it does. The progressions and the goals within the game dictate outcomes. And for us, we want to race to the first goal.
Can you expound any more on the injury update, just if there's anything different than yesterday?
Yeah, Nielsen, and those are the three guys that are probably no-goes for this weekend. Everyone else is fit and healthy.
Next we'll go to John Lupo.
Brett, Caden Glover made his debut over the weekend, the first player to be born in 2007 and to play in an MLS game. Talk about what that moment was like for him and what you saw from him.
Yeah, it was a big moment for him, a big moment for his family, and we've always said guys have earned every minute that they've stepped out on that field and put on the jersey, right? So, I don't believe we're a team who just gifts performances and debuts and caps and what have you. So everything that he's done has been done at his appropriate age group level, has been done at City 2, has been done with us in training. So Caden earned that appearance, and he's been a real good pro about it, trying to battle also a school year, where he's arriving, just in the nick of time for training and then rushing out now. I just saw him now at the meal room. He's the first one to be shouting, getting ready to head out back to school. He's got a couple of things to do. So, credit to him to navigate through these difficult scenarios as a young kid. And we value this and talk about success in times of where, the on-field success of our team might have not been as rosy over the last 2-3 weeks. Just having a look at success levels of guys getting debuts, right? Miggy Perez, bouncing back-to-back games, right? 5 games now he's been in the starting lineup. So these are all success moments for us, plus an academy who's thriving in all age groups. So, these are moments for us where we sit back and just see what's really gone on over the span of 3-4 months, right?
Thank you, Swan. So, Coach, we're struggling a little bit up front. We're struggling a little bit up front.
Sure.
Are we taking a different approach this week in comparison to previous weeks to try to change that a bit?
It's a good question. Looking at the first half against Chicago, we had 3 moments that could define a game, right? Playing away from home, we have Indy Vasilev, square pass. Well, first Célio to Indy. Indy gets down the line, square pass to Joa, just misses it, right? We have Indy in the first couple of minutes, makes a run down the line, gets a cross in. So in terms of our dynamic approach and movements, we have 3 big moments in that first half that can dictate moments and dictate games, right? If you put one of those away, the complexion of the game changes, right? So, and when you play away from home, if you get 3 clear chances like we felt we did, Célio's just before halftime. There's those moments that define and dictate games, right? And we're lucky and happy to be getting into these moments and these positions because it means we are creating, right? So if we weren't getting into those positions, I think I would be far more worried.
Corey?
Coach, a lot of talk about soccer history between the 2 regions this week. I'm just wondering, since you've been here, what have you learned about St. Louis's soccer history and our roots? I know there's going to be a celebration of it before the game on Saturday.
Well, it goes deeper than every other city in the States, right? That's what I've learned. So, and that's facts, right? So thinking about 1907, great things were happening already in St. Louis, and I've just learned from what I've seen, what I've heard, and the people I've bumped into the street, my neighbors, people at the shops, at the streets, people just talking about the culture and the history. And then you follow the other sport, the Blues, the Cardinals, just to see what it means to have a pro sports team in this town means so much to every St. Louisan. So yes, the history is one thing, plus it just means so much currently to the people, and they bring it every week. I mean, we had the open day this week with the fans. It was an incredible experience for our players, for the staff. Very humbling for people to sacrifice their days, take off work, bring the kids. I mean, for us, it was really extremely humbling to spend that time with the fans. And we know what it means to St. Louis, and we want to repay that.
Thank you, Coach. One more question. With Nelson out, are we expecting the obvious in terms of his replacement, or are we going with a different, perhaps, approach here?
Yeah, there's a lot of good guys for good competition, right? And that's all we drive every single day is internal competition. And we feel that we have a lineup ready, today, tomorrow, Saturday, to get ready to go. So whether that's the obvious solution or whether that's another solution remains to be seen. That's for us internally. But we're going with guys who we feel that can win us games right now. We're going with guys who are fit, strong, and healthy and are in good form. So, those will be the guys that will take the field come Saturday.
Just to clarify, you mentioned earlier Nelson, Nielsen, and Alm. You didn't mention Klaus at all. I know he was with the team earlier in training. Does he have any kind of restriction going into Saturday?
No, I mean, he's questionable, obviously. He still has another little bump tomorrow to do to get through certain loads. And if he comes through that, he's definitely an option.
And then Indiana Vasilev, you mentioned him a couple times in those key moments against Chicago. In the attacking, can we expect to see him in that kind of role going forward, especially with Blom getting back to fitness in the midfield?
Maybe he gets his wish, because when he joined us, he was like, "Coach, I don't belong deeper in the field." I'm like, "Maybe you do," And now he's up higher and he's doing great things, and he's done great things as a 6. So, we're flexible. We feel with Edu, with Indy, even with Jobs, with Miggy, we have a lot of good options there in the holding midfielder position. Plus, if we need to fill a gap with a 10, we can do that too. So, we feel we're getting stronger, and not just stronger from the personnel, but just the competition. If we drive competition, this week we had Johnny Klein in with us as well. So just to spark a difference, just to show, that guys, take nothing for granted, because, we want to keep driving internal competition, and that's what we stand for.
Santi?
Bradley, when you prepare for a team like Sporting KC that is currently in good form, do you also go back and look at some of their previous games where the results didn't go their way, or do you look at the more recent games?
Yeah, look, it's very interesting, right? We need to look at styles of plays of other teams, So how far do we go back to certain other teams? What sort of phase was that team in? Who was on the field for that team, and what personnel did Sporting KC put out, right? So there's a bunch of things that the staff do behind the scenes that we go, and it's not just automatic, the last game, the last 3 games, the last it's strategic, which type of opponent have they played, and how can we analyze that and come up with key scenarios and key formations with and without the ball to beat them. So that's what we've been doing.
Time for 1 or 2 more if anyone has any. Good. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Tim, wanted to ask you about your experience in rivalry games with both Houston and New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, they're intense, and I think it plays a lot into how the players react in the beginning of games, but it's about controlling those kind of emotions throughout the whole 90 minutes. So for us, it's going to be, I'm sure the energy in the stadium is going to be incredible on Saturday. So for us, it's going to be a little bit of managing that.
Thank you. And thinking about Chicago, obviously you didn't play that game. How was it for you watching from the outside?
Yeah, it's always pretty tough. I think whenever you're watching a game from the outside, you always kind of are a little bit more critical, I think. But, I can't fault the effort that the guys put in that game. And kind of like Coach said, too, I think we had opportunities to win that game. So there's things that we can take out of that game that were definitely positive. And then there's obviously things that we can work on moving forward.
Matt?
New haircut, trying to get a new vibe going into the KC game?
Yeah, just a little bit of a cut. Getting hotter, so I had to take some of it off.
What do you think about Kansas City's front 3? They're rounding into form. Polito, Russell, Saloy. How do you view them as a threat to what you guys have?
Yeah, they're talented players. They've been in the league. They've been in the league a little while. So I've played against these guys before. There's ways that we can definitely have success against them, and we've definitely been working on that this week. And there's things that we have to be worried about that they have in terms of quality, and some ways that they can hurt us. So there's just a little bit of managing that, but I think we prepared really well.
Stu?
In regard to the rivalry, can players get any sense of a rivalry between 2 teams that haven't played each other, or do you just leave that up to the fans to kind of generate the intensity or whatever?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think obviously we touched on the vibe around the whole city in terms of how St. Louis people believe. I would just say that they're better than Kansas City people, So I like to, I like to buy into some of it, but at some point you have to kind of create that rivalry on the field as well.
Corey?
If Klaus is able to go this week, just how does he help what you guys have planned, what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think he's always a big help for us when we're on the field. He provides that kind of constant worry for defenses, with his goal-scoring ability and his knack for being dangerous. But yeah, I think it's been great to see him around, and his energy is definitely higher. So we're looking forward to seeing what we can get out of him.
Back to Matt.
How do you see the back line changing without Johnny Nelson?
Yeah, like Brad touched on, there's definitely options that we have that we can plug in at left back to see how we want to manage this game. And I think there's different ways we can go about it. But right now, I think we're doing the smart move, and we're going to be pretty aggressive about it too.
You mentioned needing to spark a rivalry on the field. Have you noticed anything, boots on the ground, training-wise, new intensity, just a different vibe from the players going into this match that last week Indiana Vassilev kind of alluded to this being the true rivalry?
Yeah. I think there's definitely been a new energy. There's been a little bit of a little bit of a new energy in terms of how we want to go about the week of training, with the whole week obviously, and then with this game on the weekend being the icing on the cake. It's a little bit of a later game, so that changes a little bit of game day routines. But like I said, it's something for us to kind of look forward to all week.
We'll wrap up with John Lupo.
Tim, having been in this league, obviously with the Red Bulls and playing against a Peter Vermees coach team before, what makes him so successful? What makes his style so difficult to play against? And what do you think would be some of the keys for you guys on Saturday?
Yeah, Peter's been a coach in this league and a player in this league as well, so he knows how to find success in this league. So for us, it's going to be important to be able to manage games and manage moments. There's going to be some curveballs thrown at us, and it's going to be about how we're able to react on the field, how we can solve problems ourselves and not always rely on the coaches. And I think that's going to be a big part of what we want to do on Saturday. And then it's also we want to look like us, so we want to force kind of our style of play on them.
Tim, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
No problem.
Célio, welcome to the press room here. So you have started the last 3 games. How have things gone for you? How did you feel?
Of course, I feel great to start. Like, I always work hard since I got here. Like, I always put it in my mind, I want to start someday. So the only way to start is showing the coach that I deserve. I can practice, working hard every day, like competing, and yeah, that's it. But it's great, and I hope to keep going,
So thinking about rivalry games, when you play for BCU, were there any rivalries there?
Like Islu, we can say, was like a rival. But like in Brazil, in the youth teams, I played like some rivalries. Ceará against Fortaleza is like those 2 teams from my city, the first division in Brazil. So it's kind of nice. The atmosphere is different. The game is different. It's more intense, more like fighting, trash talk. So of course it's different. Yeah, I love those games.
Go ahead, Matt.
Célio, what are some things that you felt like you've learned this year about yourself?
I'm always like trying to be open mind and always learn. So like I see like guys like Tim, like the old guys who have like success in this league and experienced guys, So like I always watch them and trying to follow the things that they do because I want to be successful as well. So I just see like the details, the things that they do off the field, and that's the thing I'm learning. Like I'm always learning here.
And what are some of the biggest changes or differences from City 2 to City this year?
I mean, the competition, but like the coaches were basically the same, so our style was the same. But of course, I think the intensity, the game speed is different. But yeah, like it's not a lot of different. For me, when I go 1v1, it's the same thing. Doesn't matter who.
Next we go to John Lupo.
Célio, just having this first match of the rivalry in front of your home fans and how good the fans have been so far for you guys this season, just talk about the difference you think they could play in a match like this.
Oh, it's always good. I feel like it's like a 12 player. Like it's an extra player we have when we play here because they give us more energy. Like when we think we're tired, the fans screaming, they push us more. So like we never stop running. So it's always good to have the fans screaming and supporting us in those games. And I mean in every game.
Santi?
Last few games, kind of a not a poor run of form, but not the results you've wanted. Has it been difficult to stay positive? You seem like obviously one of the more positive players on the team consistently. So how have you been able to maintain that positivity?
I mean, I'm positive, but like, of course, I'm not happy because in the end of the day, we want to score goals. We create chances, and that's the frustrated part because we work hard, and then we don't score. So it's basically working for nothing. But yeah, like we go to those games, and then we come to practice, coach gives us more options, more details, what we have to do better. So now we're going to score goals. Yeah.
And then you've taken advantage of the opportunity up front lately. How have you been able to find success, whether it's playing off certain teammates or the opponents? What do you feel has gone into that the past few games?
Like the way I can find success, you asking?
Yeah.
I mean, following the game plan, I've been disciplined in my position, like telling everybody, like communicate with the guys. That's the only way we can be successful. If everybody sticks to our principles if we do our jobs, everybody do our jobs, and then we're gonna win for sure, and win like our battles, do the things right. That because last game, like of course we have like a lot of mistakes, so like just do the little things right, and then of course we're gonna be successful and gonna win this game.
Anybody else? Célio, well done.
Sir.